Hi, guys. It's Dr. Liz Jenkins with drlizcoaching.com, and I wanted to just follow up to a very, very good question that was asked of me yesterday. And the question was, I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but they were saying, hey, is it possible to have postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety prior to delivering the baby? And the answer is yes. Okay, yes. And it's actually called peripartum onset. Peripartum onset. And the DSM-3, that's what's, or excuse me, DSM-5, that's where we diagnose and work with as professionals when someone may be presenting with some type of depression or mood change that we think is associated with the pregnancy. And now that mood disorders and mood changes, they do sort of follow a similar path. When you're sad, you're sad. When you're depressed, and things like that. But we look at it with the onset or with someone being pregnant or following the delivery. And statistically, they say between 3 and 6% of women will experience an onset of a major depressive episode during pregnancy or in the weeks or months following delivery. So you think that's kind of a low number, okay? And I think it's a low number. I think what happens is a lot of us mommies either don't recognize it or we just feel too lousy or ashamed or lost to raise our hand and say, hey, this is not working and I'm having some really, really weird thoughts these days about everything. All right. And so that's why I'm so glad we have this support group that you're in and the experts popping in. So yes, I think it's an underreported number. But that another interesting number was that 50% of postpartum major depression episodes begin prior to delivery. So even at that, say, 10%, 15%, 50% of these are occurring before we even give birth. And so I think it's being dismissed or written off as hormones, or you're just being, whatever. Of course, you're going to be anxious. Of course, you're going to have these panic attacks. You're going to have these changes in your body. It's all just hormones. I think we just kind of, get patted on the head at times, and by well-meaning family members, maybe some well-meaning providers or busy providers that are kind of missing the boat. So if you're still pregnant and you're having feelings of anxiety, depression, even get some psychotic features where we kind of lose track of where we're at. We kind of disconnect from who we are. We disconnect from the baby. That's where a lot of the bonding issues also come into it. So if you're feeling like that might be going on, or you're just wondering if it does pay to check it out with a medical provider, check it out with the OBGYN, or go to, a therapist that specializes in these kinds of dynamics. But I'll just kind of run through a little bit of the list so you may have that if you're currently still pregnant or you've graduated and you delivered this, that you can be more aware and you can educate those people in your world as well that no, this is not okay, and this is not just something I'm going to get over it. Sure, most of us do evolve out of it, but there are definitely supports, medications, herbal treatments, everything, all sorts of things that you can do to help make it more manageable. Resources, bringing in resources to take care of you or take care of the baby or the house or whatever it might be. But I digress. Some of the symptoms of the postpartum or peripartum depression include severe mood swings or being consistently depressed when, by all rights, people say, well, you should be happy. Frequent crying spells, excessive worry about being a good enough parent, or for me, I was making worrying about all of the what ifs. We had a pool in the backyard, and all I could do is fixate on that pool, and I would make my husband triple lock it and all sorts of warning signs. It was just, I was on it. Isolating from friends and family because I just don't feel like it. Some people have panic attacks, trouble bonding with the baby, not even really interested in the pregnancy, right? Like, whatever, I have to go. Diminished interest in the things that used to be fun. Maybe there's some shame or sadness or guilt, like somehow you aren't showing up enough, or you aren't so thrilled about being pregnant with the baby enough. What? Okay, happens. Um, Impaired cognitive functions, such as difficulty making decisions and concentration. I know in my world it was called mommy fog. And they just said, oh, well, it always happens with all the hormones that kind of flood in and all the type of stuff. It's, yeah, everybody experiences that when they're pregnant and especially after. Like, oh, okay. So well-meaning friends and family were probably missing some of the things for me, maybe for you. Increased irritability. Yep. I could not stand someone to stand over me and tell me what to do. I just couldn't take it. And I used to be a really easygoing, roll with the flow kind of gal, but not during then. Some people get into more serious stuff. They have intrusive, repetitive worries about self-harm or harming the baby, or thoughts of death or suicide. One of my clients years ago kept having this intrusive image that somehow she was going to run over the baby. And so she actually would not let herself drive her car. This is while her pregnancy and even after the baby. She would not let herself drive the car because she was afraid of something happening. So it's just this, what people say is, it was irrational, but for her it was locked on. And quite possibly maybe she knew a little bit more than she was willing to let on about how she was managing her stress with becoming pregnant and delivering the baby and then being a mom. Okay, what are the causes of postpartum depression? And so again, I want you to have, here's some of the triggers or the points about this. So postpartum depression, thoughts about becoming a babe, becoming a parent, adding more children into the family. It's emotional. It's a good stress, but it's stress nonetheless. And with that good stress comes other things, such as financial worries, lack of sleep, sleep deprivation. Just when you're pregnant, you can't get comfortable, and then when the baby comes, yeesh, hormonal fluctuations. Sometimes people really do experience some major hormone fluctuations, and they are really need to be seen by a medical provider in a better way. Okay, isolation from going out less, whether you physically can't or the baby's really, at that stage where you can't. I mean, now with all this COVID stuff, that's even for the non-preggies, we're starting with that. Worry about being a good parent. A lot of times people reflect back to their parents and their parenting, how they grew up, and they worry about not doing the same things, not damaging their child. Anxiety about after a difficult or dangerous labor, or a child that had, maybe had to stay in the NIC, maybe you had planned it was going to go smoothly, and then things took a fast turn. I planned on a regular thing, and I ended up with a regular C-section because she was stuck for the first one, and a VBAC for the second one when they let us do that. But there was concern. And then you hear all the horror stories. People start telling you all about how labor is going to be. Right? And finally, a lot of this is with the frustration of what our body looks like post-pregnancy, the postpartum body, and what we can wear, we can't wear, what happens to our bodies, and the freedom to come and go, even feeling like you have this kind of a leash if you're breastfeeding. You can only go so far before you have to return home or pump in Macy's so that you can finish trying on clothes, because it's time. So, great question. The short answer is yes. Postpartum, peripartum depression, anxiety, these symptoms do start before the baby comes. And then they most certainly can emerge at any point in time post baby. Do yourself a favor if you're feeling like that. Definitely use this group, share, rely on each other. If you're having, you know, any scary thoughts or it's really impacting the quality of your life showing up, you're impacting your ability to show up for your baby, your family, your spouse, your partner, whatever it is, do please seek a professional assistance, professional guidance. Talk to your OBGYN, talk to the pediatrician, talk. Don't be silent, okay? You're normal. You're going to come through this, and it's a miserable thing to add on to a joyful moment and also stressful moment of emerging into parenthood. So I hope that's helpful. Again, feel free to DM me more questions or things that might pop up as, you know, as I went through the list. I went through it pretty quickly. So anyway, I hope it's helpful. Appreciate your support and your questions, and I will see you another time. Bye-bye.